Hello students, today we are going to start a new chapter, that is an approach towards the past. Chapter number 1. Students, before starting the chapter, let us know why do we study history? What do we learn from history? Is history important for us? I think history is very important because if you want to know about the present of something, then you need to know the past. So let us know what is history. The word history is derived from the Greek word historia, which means knowing or learning by inquiry. History means gaining knowledge about the past. History teaches us great lessons. It guides us what to do and what not to do. History also informs us about a rich past, how people lived, what they ate, what they wore, and what types of houses they built. We know that the present cannot be understood without understanding our past. The people who describe the past are known as historians. So, here we find that there is a great importance of knowing the past, or that is history. So, children, this is the next important topic of the chapter, that is importance of history. So, as we have read about the meaning of history, now let us know what is the importance of history. Why should we go through the history? And what important information do we get from history? So, the study of history is important in many ways. First, we come to know about our past kingdoms, dynasties, kings, and leaders by studying history. It also deals with the lives and activities of ordinary people who have shaped the pages of history. As you have read in the previous classes about early humans, about the kings, so these things tells us about lot of things about the past. Even when we read about the early humans, we have seen that how the human beings they used to behave, how they used to live, what usually their activities were, and this type of things we come to know. And now how we have changed ourselves, how we have developed ourselves. So this is possible only by knowing the past. So history is important. Through history we can come to know different things about the past, and we can compare that what we are now at present. So let's move to the next point. That is, the knowledge gained from the study of history is important to understand both past and the present. Whatever is happening today will be history tomorrow. Each one of us is adding something big or small to our history, our family's history and our country's history. To know the present in a better way, we need to have knowledge about the past. Here it means that suppose you want to know the present thing, then you need to go through the past. Otherwise, you will be unable to clear the present scenario of anything. It may be country, it may be the life of a person, or anything. So the knowledge of the past is very important to know the present. So this is the second point. Let's move to the third point, that is history guides people to set goals and tells them not to make the same mistake. So what we find in this point, that if we go through the history, then we can understand what our ancestors they have done, what type of achievements they have received, and what mistakes they have done. By knowing their past, we can alert ourselves, we can get rid of all those mistakes what they have done, and we can do the things in a better way. So, like for example, the politicians, when they go through the past history of the great leaders of our country, so they come to know that what achievements they have achieved and what mistake they had done which they should not repeat at present. So this is the benefit of knowing history. Let's move to the fourth point, that is, we understand the continuous development of human beings by studying history. Here the meaning is, when we study the history of the past human beings like early humans, so you must have read in the previous classes about the early humans. So children, what we have studied the evolution of mankind or human beings. Like starting from the very beginning, there was Stone Age. Then after that, people started using weapons, tools out of stone. Then there was invention of fire, then wheel. So it's a continuous process, and slowly they were civilized, and now we are at this point, that this age we can call it as a space age. So this is a continuous development of human beings, and this thing we can know through history. What we have achieved now, that can be seen or that can be rated by knowing the past history. So in this way, history is very important. Fifth point, we can easily understand the basic nature of our society by studying history. So we study history, that how people behaved the way they did, how and why they fought or cooperated or built forts. Like when we study about the past, about the kings, about the rulers, about the early humans, so what we learn, we know that how they used to behave, why they fought at that particular period of time, how they used to behave, what were their culture, what they used to eat, what they used to wear. So all these things we come to know through history. And this basic nature, how it is changing, that also we come to know through history. So studying history is very important, so that we can save the present period by knowing the history. So let's move to the divisions of the past. So students, let's come to the next topic, that is division of the past. So past is divided into two, that is prehistory and history. It is the period of human development when writing had not been invented and human beings did not know how to read and write. Hence, there are no written records for this period. We can know prehistory only through archaeology. To understand prehistory, archaeologists dig deep into the ground and collect remains of the past. These archaeological remains, like tools, coins, bones, pots, and jewelry, help us to know about the past. Here we can say the early humans period can be stated prehistory period, as humans at that time were unable to express in the way of writing, and whatever we know about them is through archaeological remains like tools, coins, clay tablets, inscriptions and all. So this is about prehistory. So let's see what is history. History is that period for which written records are available. This covers the time period after the invention of writing, where people used to express through writing. Early writing was done on the bark of trees, clay tablets, palm leaves, copper plates, and rock pillars. So these were the ways to express, and through this we come to know lot of things about the past. So knowing the past as it is described in written documents, it is that period of time where written records were present, such as inscriptions, So students, let's see the difference between the history and prehistory. So left hand column is the history column and right hand column is the prehistory column. So let's see, history is the study of the past based on the written records of the past, whereas prehistory is the study of the period of time before written records. Next, information can be gained about history through written records, whereas in prehistory, information can be gained about prehistory through ancient carvings, artifacts, etc. Third point, history is the time period after prehistory, whereas prehistory is the time period before history. So this is about the difference between history and prehistory. So here we find some pictures regarding sources of history. So in the left hand column we see some pictures regarding prehistory. So these are the sources from where we get the information about the past history. So these are the archaeological sources, like you see the picture of weapons, small tools made up of stones. Here you can find the archaeological artifacts such as bones and even some statues. These are the things which gives us information about the prehistory. Whereas in history we find all types of written records. You can see the inscriptions on the walls, inscriptions on the barks of the trees, inscriptions on the clay tablets, inscriptions on the rock pillars. So these are the various ways to know about the history. So let's move to the next portion. So here we come to the next part of the chapter, or next topic of the very important topic of this chapter, that is sources of history. So the difficult question now is how we can know about something that took place thousands of years ago. A very simple answer to this difficult question is that we learn about the past from the remains which people of that period have left behind. By studying these remains, archaeologists and historians tells us what might have happened in the past. So according to that, sources of history are divided into two. First, that is archaeological sources, which are non-written sources, where we don't find any written documents to get to know about the past. The next is literary sources, where the archaeologists, they have different proofs, like written documents are there, manuscripts are there, written records are there, which help us to know about the past. So let us know first about archaeological sources. Now archaeological sources are direct evidences. They have a significant effect on the writing of history. They cannot be changed or altered by human beings. They are physical evidences that are available. Like archaeological sources are basically the material evidence, like historical buildings, coins, inscriptions and other remains that gives important and detailed information pertaining to a particular period. It provides us with a more unbiased information. The archaeological sources can again be divided into three groups, namely archaeological remains or artifacts and monuments, inscriptions and coins. Every trace of past human activity is an archaeological resource. These non-renewable resources are often the only tangible evidence or proof of the passage or occupation of human groups that have disappeared or been displaced. So let's see to the different categories of archaeological sources. So students, let us know about the subdivision of archaeological sources. First, archaeological remains or artifacts. Archaeological remains are the material historical sources that make it possible to reconstruct the past history of human society, including mankind's prehistory. For example, pottery, tools, ornaments, weapons, etc. So here you can find some pictures below, and these artifacts or archaeological remains give us important clues and help us in understanding the cultural life of the past. The objects found at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro throw light on the developmental aspects of that age. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are 4,000 years old cities along the banks of river Indus. Here we come to the next archaeological source, that is monuments. What are monuments? Monuments are old buildings, ruins of old buildings, temples, stupas, mosques, tombs, caves, palaces and old settlements which provide important information of our past. For example, the ruins of Nalanda in Bihar reveal the ancient system of education. So here we find some examples like picture of the first one, the picture of a temple, the picture of a Sanchi Stupa. From these monuments or the old buildings, we get to know a lot of things about the ruling period of the past, about the economy, about the polity, about various things about the past we come to know from these monuments. Even we can come to know about the architecture of that period also from these monuments. So let's see the next archaeological source, that are coins. So coins are also valuable sources of information. These coins are made up of gold, silver, copper and other metals. They tell us about the economy of kingdom, the periods of rulers and trade activities with other region. So these are also very important source of history through which we can come to know about the rulers, past rulers, about the economy, about the political background of the past. So the last point of archaeological sources are inscriptions. So what are inscriptions? Inscriptions are written records which are engraved on rocks, walls of temples, pillars and copper plates, and these informations are very useful to understand the past history. Inscriptions provide us important information about events, rulings, and declarations of ancient rulers. Inscriptions also deal with administration and the personal quality of the kings. They also provide us with important dates of coronation, specimen of art, and relation with neighboring and distant rulers. So in this video we have understood about the history, its importance of history and divisions of the past, sources of history. So we will discuss about the literary sources in the next video. Thank you.